So, wow, this is an incredible turnout. Thank you all for coming, and let me be the first to officially welcome you all to the launch of the Techstars METRO Accelerator. So if you're going to tweet out tonight, please use the TS METRO hashtag. We're going to be using it the whole evening. So my name's Rob Johnson. I am the managing director of Techstars METRO, and I want to say how excited Techstars is to be partnering with METRO and RGA to bring the world's first hospitality and food tech accelerator, a highly underrepresented vertical. In the last decade, we've seen entrepreneurs across the globe innovating in the way that we interact through social media, the way that we purchase things through e-commerce. What we haven't seen enough of is these technologies being applied to the way that hotels and restaurants do business. And what better way to innovate than to partner with METRO Cash and Carry, the world's leading wholesaler for hotels and restaurants. With METRO's massive resources, distribution, RGA's digital branding and marketing expertise, we can bring Techstars' proven methodology to create an accelerator like no other on the planet. I also want to say how excited Techstars is to be building this accelerator here in Berlin. We've recently launched the Techstars Berlin City program, and with Techstars METRO, we're doubling down on our desire to be a catalyst to make Berlin one of the best places in the world to build a startup. So a little bit later, we're going to go into the details and the mechanics of the startup itself, but first I want to invite up Alexander Zumdick to talk more about METRO.
Thank you, Rob. Oh, wow. Now I understand what you meant by incredible turnout. It's very impressive. So my name is Alexander Zumdick. I'm responsible for the Techstars METRO Accelerator from METRO's side. You saw in the video that we formed a partnership, and as Rob promised, we'll definitely give you more details on that. I'll give you a quick overview of the evening. We'll have 2 panel discussions now, and then our presentation, some Q&A and networking afterwards. Now, before we hop in there, maybe a couple of thoughts of why METRO is actually engaging in this. As you know, METRO is a large wholesale retail company that's been around for more than 50 years, and it has been serving people in the hospitality and food business for the time. So METRO has gathered a lot of experience and perceives itself as and sees itself as the champion of the small independent entrepreneur. Now, as such, it's only natural that METRO wants to contribute to the innovation and development in that sector, and the accelerator we're building here with Techstars and RGA is one of the vehicles we try to achieve that, i.e. drive innovation in the sector and then bring it to our clients in the hospitality and food industry so that they can do their business better, maybe grow their top line by new services and products, drive profit in the bottom line by more efficient processes, and get all the help they can get. So very excited to tell you more about this a little bit later, but I would now like to invite Olaf Koch and all the panelists to the stage. Olaf is not only the CEO of METRO Group and METRO Cash and Carry, but he's also the mastermind behind the Techstars METRO Accelerator. And I think before you hop into the panel, you have a few interesting news to share.
Yeah, thanks, Alexander. Thank you. Well, listen, basically you said everything already. Why is METRO doing this? Well, we are on a journey of redefining the business that METRO Group is running as a whole. And some of you might have wondered when we announced the accelerator, why is METRO doing this? Probably METRO is not associated with innovation too much, especially in the recent years. But, 3 years ago, when we were suffering quite a lot and this company was in a very bad shape, we started to really question, what are we doing here? You know METRO as being the company that is very big, very international, high revenue, high purchasing power, and that's the way we played it. We went for internationalization, expansion, standardization, and we used the muscle of buying to achieve success in economic terms. Now that formula ended somewhen, probably not only 3 years ago, but earlier. So 3 years ago, we started to say, well, what our purpose needs to be is, we need to serve. We are here to serve, and that's our business. And we are serving specific target groups. In Western and Southern Europe, those target groups predominantly are hotels, restaurants, and catering companies, people in food service. And if you serve, it's better to understand what those customers want. So we started to listen. And we changed assortment, we introduced services, we innovated our formats, we started to do new means of communication. And guess what? Since more than a year now, we see like-for-like sales growth kicking into the business again. So it shows we are doing something for the sector we are serving. And the formula we use there is we want to make other people more successful. So as Alexander said, champion for independent business people. That's the heart of the DNA of Metro, meanwhile, and we want to continue to grow that formula. Part of that journey 2 years ago was that we started to also to look into how is actually the HoReCa sector using digital tools. And it was a few people within Metro who started to go abroad, predominantly to the United States, and look at what's happening there with open tables, seamless, and all that stuff. And we noticed it's meaningful, it's big, it's growing very fast. So what's happening really in Europe? Well, the answer you know. There are quite a few companies already there, but they are lacking scale. Most of them might have a good formula, might have a good business model, but they are lacking scale. Now that's where Metro comes to play. We are not calling ourselves the pioneers of innovation. We will not claim that. We are not saying that we will go for the next big corporate VC because throwing money on people hasn't a point. What we are saying is we have reach and we have an understanding of what our customers need. We need more solutions for them to be more efficient, effective, and finally successful. And if you have an idea and you come to us and you share with us the idea, we promise to you that we will look very closely and we'll ask our salespeople if they agree this is a great idea. And if they agree, we commit our sales force. And we have 3,000 people here in Western and Southern Europe every day on the street with our customers. We are reaching out to 1.4 million HoReCa businesses out of 2 million in Western and Southern Europe. Now that's what we say, this is a contribution we bring to the table. And if we bring the idea with our sales power, we can put some money on this as well because our balance sheet meanwhile is clean and we can go for more investment after we delivered the company by 3 billion euro in the last 3 years. So that's the promise we want to make. We want to be curious, we want to be eager, we want to be reaching out for more value for customers, and we want to reach out for entrepreneurs who we want to apply the same formula. We want to make you more successful. That's what we try to achieve here. And the Techstars Accelerator is a good continuation of this thought. And Alexander and Rob will explain later on in more detail how this is going to work. But we didn't wait until then, because October, the program will finally start after quite some preparation. We are already in the mode of finding companies and actually making transactions whenever possible. And that's why I'm very happy and very proud that I can ask Alice to join us here. Alice Cheng from Culinary Agents. Alice,
thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and even more excited to be partnering with Metro. I'm living proof that Metro is dedicated to this space, and we have a company called Culinary Agents that provides online services, professional networking and job matching for food, beverage, hospitality, servicing both talent and businesses in this space. And with the partnership with Metro, we will be bringing our services globally, and starting in France and Italy.
Well, and in a certain way, you're addressing a white spot, right? An issue most people have in HoReCa, which you are resolving with Culinary Agents.
Yeah, absolutely. It's historically an underserved area. There's professional networking services for other types of verticals, healthcare, technology, et cetera. But this community is growing at such a rapid pace and has been lacking a professional, trusted online network to continue to grow.
And we feel that the same need is here in Europe. I mean, you have been doing this now in the United States, quite successful. I mean, when did you start?
We are 2 years young. Yeah, just about 2 years. We are in 30 cities across North America, grown very rapidly, which really was proof that there is product market fit and that there was an extreme need for this. And looking forward to grow even faster with Metro and the team.
And just to give you a bit of background how this has been working, we met January?
Yes,
somewhere.
end of January. This
Yeah.
is very quick.
So we came back from New York. We had this idea in our bag, and we shared that with our salespeople. And basically, our salespeople in France, where we are a leader in Horeca, in Italy and in Germany. And our sales folks came back and said, "This is too good to be true. We must have it here." And so that looks like a mutual benefit for both of us.
Absolutely. I'm living proof of how nimble and flexible and how dedicated Metro is to this space. I think we completed everything in less than 2 months, less than a month and a half. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Well. So I would ask all the other panelists to join us on stage so that we can get started.
Ooh.
Yeah. Have a seat.
Oh.
Thanks. Oops. So please have a seat.
Danke.
I got the cushion.
Good. The purpose of this panel is really to match the need for digital tools and the value digital tools can provide with expertise from entrepreneurs who are working in that sector and can share with us why they think there's a surplus amount of opportunity and actually what are not only the opportunities but also the challenges. What are the things you're facing on a day-to-day basis that make life a bit more complicated. And while I'm now going to introduce every single speaker, maybe you can just say a few words on your business and then we go into the question. So Franz, you're a successful entrepreneur in the Horeca sector for quite a while, bringing to us the blessing of Austrian food, yeah, which is great. Yeah, maybe you say a few words on your business.
What we use digital tools.
Yeah.
We use some booking platforms, which has good things and bad things, like everything. And the nice thing is that it's going very fast. You have a lot of people who can book tables for your restaurant, but there's also a big place for still improvement. So it takes time that this is running very good, but it starts very well.
Okay.
So also a big point is at this time, people not looking a lot to your website or something. Most of the people are looking on Facebook. And so this we use a lot more than our homepage now. And so if I see we don't have a lot of reservation or we still have a place free, so we do something on Facebook and we are full.
Really?
So yeah. But the bad thing there also is some years before we do a lot of promotion on the streets, and if you do this now at this time, the people are not on the streets. They are only in this social media imperium himself, and you can't talk to them, so you must catch them digital.
All right. Well, I must say you must be an exception, and you are, because we made a study trying to find out who in the restaurant business or catering business or hotel business actually is digital in Europe. And yes, most of them, meanwhile, have a web presence one way or the other, website, or they are part of a directory or whatsoever. But you use digital tools actively, which is quite rare in this market. When did you start to use digital tools?
I started 2 years ago. 2 years ago, yes.
And you're doing it yourself, or you have somebody in your team doing it?
I try to find somebody to do it from my team, but mostly I have to do it.
Okay.
Because it's new and it really takes a lot of time and passion to make these new things professional. It's a new world for most of us.
So it's actually the access to technology is not easy, right? It's something.
It's not easy, but helpful.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Franz. Well, Jörg, I mean, you have been running now your own business for quite a while, combining food business with digital tools. Maybe say a few words on your business.
Basically, I founded Lieferando 2009 together with two partners. Lieferando, for those who don't know it yet, it's a food ordering platform, so you can order delivery food in the internet. We basically, in 2014, went together with takeaway.com, which is a Dutch group. By now, we have 30,000 partners, restaurant partners on the platform listed. And we transfer more than €500 million in order value to the restaurants on an annualized basis. So we're active in 10 countries, but the majority of these revenues which we transfer is basically from Netherlands and Germany. And we see ourselves a bit like you introduced the company Metro earlier, or we're basically a partner enabler. We enable our restaurant partners to increase their revenues and to focus on their core operations, because most of our partners don't have any clue about how to program a website, how to do online marketing nowadays, and we give them an opportunity to be listed on our platform and to get revenues from day one, and that's basically our core proposition for those partners.
Okay. When you reach out to customers, trying to acquire new customers, is it an easy play for you?
You mean because we define customers as the end customer and the restaurants as our partners.
Okay, your partners.
But the partners, so our partner side is actually very easy to convince. To be honest, like it takes one meeting, sometimes even a phone call only, and then they're convinced. Because if you tell them we have a strictly performance-based model, we only get a margin. We get a margin from the restaurants when we transfer an order. And if you tell a restaurant, do you want to increase your orders and do you want to get more revenues? And we only get a share if we transfer orders to you. That's a pretty simple sale, isn't it?
Could be. So that's easy. What has been your experience that has been the most difficult in building up your businesses?
I think in the beginning, obviously, it was also access to cash. We founded it in 2009. It was right after the financial crisis. Access of cash was a bit restricted those days. And then I think with every platform business, you have a bit of an issue, like a hen-egg problem, like whether you build up the partner restaurant network first or the end customer, because also it's a hyper-local market and it's a hyper-local business model. So, for example, we can't just start doing TV advertisement from one of the other day, because you have to get a restaurant network first, a partner restaurant network, else the TV advertisement is in vain. And I think balancing this out was quite a struggle, but as most entrepreneurs know, there's a lot more than this. Like there's tons of issues which can occur, and someday you think everything's great, and then someday you think everything is a mess. You know, like I think there's tons of challenges, but this was one of the challenges we had.
That doesn't only happen at startups, by the way. Thank you, Jörg. Well, Patrick, you're a well-known chef. You're working in the food sector now for quite a while. So what does digital mean for you? You use that for your meals, or what are you doing about it?
Digital in the beginning was something like, oh, what shall we do with this? It's new. You need some time to get into this. But in the restaurant business means really what Jörg said. You generate new revenue, and it helps you during the day also to organize yourself in terms of customer loyalty, in terms of ordering, in terms of reservation. And this is something where still some people are kind of afraid, but I think it's without this kind of technology, no restaurant will survive anymore.
What do you think is the biggest hurdle for more people joining in? I mean, we heard that it's not that difficult to sell. Still, it's only a minority if you look at the total size of the market and the penetration of digital tools. What's the biggest hurdle to convince somebody like you or one of your fellow colleagues?
I think in the beginning it's an investment. What does it mean to me? Do I need to buy a new computer system? Do I pay for a platform or whatever? What is the invest? And I think this is something that most of the people, they think, is it worth to invest in this tool in terms of how do I get back the money? And but if you have a very easy model, and if there are systems, leasing systems or concept that helps you to use the technology in a very simple way, I think this is something what the partners should deliver, and then the customer will be convinced very, very easily.
All right. Matthias, maybe you introduce yourself and your business, because initially it doesn't look like it has very much to do with digital, right?
Yeah, my name is Matthias, and I'm the founder of Yomaro. It's a frozen yogurt chain from Düsseldorf. We started 2012 with one shop. The next was 2013, also in Düsseldorf. And now, in May 2015, there will be 90 to 20 in whole Germany.
And what does digital mean for you?
Yeah, in the first 3 years, it was a very important tool for us to build a brand through the
social media, or?
Through the social media platforms like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, Vimeo, and now we have 13,000 Facebook followers and more than 2,500 Instagram followers. And now it's more easy for a franchise partner to open a shop, and because he knows if we invite potential customers from his city, the risk is not so high for him that nobody will come to the opening, you know. And 2 weeks ago we opened a shop in Hanover, and 3 weeks ago in Aachen, and we invited only people through Facebook and Instagram, and there were per store there were more than 2,000 people, and 2,000 people is maybe not so much, but if you think about a Yomaro store is about the guest room is about 10 square meters. 2,000 people is quite a lot, you know.
Yeah. Okay. If there was one digital thing which you would say that's one I want desperately, something comes to your mind?
I'm sorry.
Is there any digital tool that you think of that would be good for you, that is missing, that you would use?
No. For us, Facebook and Instagram is the most important, are the most important tools, and we are very happy with these.
All right. Well, thank you. Now, Alice, you just joined basically into the European market. If you look into the European market and you spend quite some time looking at it in the last couple of weeks and the digital opportunity, what comes to your mind when you come here and think about the business opportunity?
Well, it's extremely exciting. I think part of it is, much like the challenges that you face here, we started looking at some of the areas that we could help restaurants, hotels, catering, and talent sourcing was a big gap. And what was so exciting is when we started talking and digging deeper into the similarities in the different countries, we realized that this professional networking or lack thereof of a tool to help bring both sides of the market together for whatever it may be, for services for businesses, career development, education for the talent side, was lacking. And so it was a pleasant surprise to see similarities in the markets. There's huge potential.
Well, thank you. Well, I would conclude this panel by trying to summarize a bit of the conversation we had, and then we have more chance to continue conversation right after the panel closes. What we see is that there are pioneers like you, Franz, who are using technology already. There are entrepreneurs who are already made huge progress. However, taking the observations as well, what could be missing or what is not there yet. If I look into the innovation dynamics we see abroad in the United States, we see that is like 2, 3, 4 years ahead sometimes. Nonetheless, I don't think that copy-paste will make the trick. We will need to have localized solutions for Europe. And that's why, teaming up with people, and I like the word partners, because that's what it's all about, partnering with people that use services and product from us, as well as the customers that come frequently to your business, is going to be the journey we want to start at Metro. And thank you for all your contribution this afternoon. And I would now hand over to the second panel, which is going to start in a minute. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Danke. That's good.
Good evening. My name's John Bradford, and I was the MD of Techstars London. I have now other broader roles inside Techstars. We're going to hopefully try and do a panel now, which is describing why one would do and participate in an accelerator, and that goes beyond the teams themselves. There are many different participants that actually have to come together to make an accelerator operate extremely well. So what I was going to first do was, if everybody wanted to quickly introduce themselves, and then we'll come back and talk about all the different roles that people have and the value that one gets from it.
Sure.
Stephen.
I'm Stephen Plumley. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of RGA. RGA is a global digital agency with about 1,500 people in 16 offices around the world. We do full service marketing and strategy, technology and design with digital at the core. Our client set includes Nike, Samsung, Beats, Google, Microsoft, and many others. In the last couple of years, we've, in partnership with Techstars, actually done 2 IoT accelerators in New York, and are working with Metro and Techstars on this accelerator. We've also recently announced a sports tech program in LA, and we'll be doing a short program at the Cannes Innovation Festival in June as well, that's focused on matching startups with global brands.
My name is Mutaz Kabaj, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Squirrel. We recently went through the Barclays Techstars inaugural cohort in London, so it's focused primarily on fintech. What Squirrel is it's a financial well-being platform that's designed to empower people to take control of their financial lives. So we'll partner with employers, potentially like Metro, to provide their employees with simple and intuitive saving, budgeting, and bill management tools, so that they don't have to tap into expensive credit in the payday loan or overdraft markets when they're in financial need. So we're trying to make people financially resilient and financially free.
Hi, I'm Olga. Unfortunately, I can't see you, right? I'm a very startup person. I now build a startup in Berlin called Inbot, where I try to reinvent enterprise software. But I also was on the corporate side as a VP of mobile at Yandex, which is, for you who doesn't know, it's Google for Russia. And there I was a part of a scouting team to acquire startups. I was Techstars mentor in London, RGA mentor in New York. Then I came to Berlin, and I'm really happy that Techstars followed me here.
Hello, my name is Jan Burgstadt. I'm based here in Berlin. I'm a co-founder of a new venture firm called Joint Capital. We're investing in a pre-Series A in digital vertical leaders coming from Europe. Previously, I was leading the team in Europe for Bertelsmann Ventures, doing about 30 investments in startups all over Europe for the Bertelsmann Media Group.
Cool, thank you. Rich, I'm going to ask you first, because you're the guy who put your life on hold to go and do the Barclays Accelerator in London. Can you describe a little bit about the journey? Part of what was your expectation when you went initially into the program, and ultimately what was the outcome, and what surprised you between those 2 points?
So what we expected was, first of all, being able to tap into Techstars as a global institution that's there to increase the probability of success of your startup. We just didn't know how all the pieces would come together. It's one of the most intensive experiences in my life. Or it was one of the most intensive experiences in my life, where the main focus of the program is mentorship, mentorship, mentorship. And what that means is that, just to throw the numbers out there, in the first 3 weeks of the program, we had to sit down as founders with 100 different mentors. People spanning the entrepreneurial ecosystem, spanning the investors, spanning serial entrepreneurs, people who had done this over and over and over again. And these people were there to ask us every single day why we existed, to make sure that we could get to the core of our value proposition, and to make sure that we knew what we wanted to get out of the end of the Techstars program. So for us, the program was split into 3 parts. That first part is purely focused on mentorship, where you talk to 100 mentors, and it goes through what you could call mentorship speed dating. So you basically say, well, this is the value I see from these 10 to 20 to 30 mentors, and they say, on their side, this is the value I could provide to these startups. And then there's a matching process. And you're allocated mentors who are there to help catalyze your business, whether it's on the product development side, the user experience side, the business outreach side, the business development side. All of that comes together in a great package that's there to catalyze and give you that unfair advantage that you want as a startup to increase the probability of your success. The second stage was going through just product development for the second month. And it was all about how do you keep on testing each part of your product to make sure it's built to hit the targets, or built to hit the needs of the users of the product you're building. And it's an intensive process where you get to leverage, through Techstars, they give you access to about 15 associates, and what they call hackstars, people who come from different backgrounds, whether it's development, whether it's on the design side, whether it's coding itself, just to help you get to, you're just close to that product market fit stage. Or just to help you get a product out to users as well that can be tested. And then the third part, which is extremely important, is messaging, which was that last month before your demo day. Your demo day at an accelerator is you get up in front of a group of investors, mentors, people within the entrepreneurial industry, and you get to showcase what you've been able to build over those 3 months. So for us, for Squirrel, for my firm, it took us from what we came in, which was which was a product, and helped turn that into a vision. We started with something that looked like a great idea, sounded like a great idea, but turned that into something that could be pushed out to market by the end of that 3 months. And for us, that messaging meant figuring out what the right hooks were for every stakeholder in the experience, whether it was the investors or potential clients, as well as people in the entrepreneurial ecosystem who we wanted to tap into as resources to increase our probability of success. So it overshot any expectation of success, overshot any expectation of what we thought we'd be getting when we came into it.
Just, So Stephen, the other party in this process is the corporate. You've both been the corporate that sponsored programs. You've also acted on behalf of third parties, working with Metro and LA Dodgers in LA. Why would you bother wasting your time with silly early stage, pre-seed, or even seed-funded teams?
Well, I think that for us at RGA, doing an accelerator program was a critical part of evolving as a digital company. But more important would be why a startup, I think, would join a corporate program. And the way that we look at that is that capital is really a commodity. So if you're a startup, how do you move beyond just that? And I think that corporate accelerators provide an opportunity for a large amount of value add beyond just capital. And that can be strategic partnerships, that can be access to customers, that can be a number of different things. So I think the corporate accelerators actually provide much more value than potentially non-corporate accelerators or even just VCs, given that capital really is a commodity. So the way that we look at both as the corporate side and working with others is that corporate accelerators provide that opportunity to really scale a business, to find product market fit, to find a new set of customers, and move beyond just seed stage or early seed stage.
So, could I best describe Berlin as the capital of corporate accelerators? I think there seems to be quite a substantial number. It would be. I'm going to ask all the awkward questions that nobody else wants to ask. Why would you do Techstars and Metro? Versus any other corporate accelerator?
Yeah, sure. We think that the Techstars Metro and RGA combination is extremely powerful for a number of reasons. Techstars is a global network of thousands of investors, thousands of mentors who do activate globally. Metro is, of course, the leading company. Olaf talked about it already. He has a very specific vision strategically about what this program is about, and I think that that's an advantage over many other corporate programs which might just be about PR or might just be about a vague sense of innovation or internal IP. And then what we bring to the table in our own programs, but also in programs that we collaborate on, is what we call our services team. So the same people that I described a minute ago who work on Nike, who work on Beats, who develop Nike Fuel Band, Beats Music, work with global companies, our 1,500-person talent pool, we apply those people to work with the startups in programs. We design purpose-built teams to work with those companies that are in the programs, but we also bring our client relationships to the mix. So all of our senior clients participate in our programs and participate in the programs that we collaborate on. So that combination of the methodology and the network that Techstars has, along with the vision and the power of Metro, combined with what we bring to the table, I think is a powerful and differentiating program.
So Olga, you've participated in numerous different accelerator programs. Why would you participate as an independent, so to speak, mentor, participate in a corporate accelerator, and what is your expectation when you go into working in an accelerator or working with startups?
For me, it's all about two things. The first thing is people, and the second thing is skills. What skills are there in a startup that a corporate is lacking? How can we rebuild the corporation the way that we can accept a startup or a new type of style of thinking, even? Like how we can combine that. And as Steven said, it's not about PR. It's not about, we have another entity here and they deal with innovation. It's actually how you can innovate inside a huge corporation that maybe their business model will not exist in the next 10 years, right? How do we make sure that in 10 years we're in a place with the right people and the right skills to build a company bigger, faster, and more innovative and mobile?
Cool. Jan, as an investor, what do you think of these things? I mean, is this something that you actively pursue and is valuable? Have you ever invested in a team which has participated in an accelerator?
Yeah, so I think accelerators, I guess like 5 or 6 years ago, people were skeptical about it, but I think accelerators have become a part of the ecosystem, right? And I always describe it, as a line. You have here the family and fools, the business angels, the accelerators, the micro VCs, VCs, etc., and exits. And I think the accelerators have found their role. I think there were some bad experiences, like people that were more incubators, where founders didn't have enough equity, and then there were accelerators who've built experience over time. And I really welcome that corporates now use, again, these experienced accelerators as a platform to not do all the mistakes that have been done before. And I think that sets this setup apart from other corporate initiatives that do, I think, have sometimes some PR effect, that's wished, or that cover up some major problems with innovation at the big corporate. And sometimes you see that they start something all on their own with no experience, and they do all the mistakes you can do. And I guess that's really on the they make their experiences on the back of the entrepreneurs who go into those programs because there's a big name to it. So I think I would feel much more comfortable having Techstars experience behind it to join a program than from any other corporate.
So you didn't answer my question. Have you ever put your money where your mouth is?
Yes, I did. I invested personally in an angel. I made an angel investment on top of a company called Depop that came out of H-Farm, an accelerator in Italy. And we've had great success. Company now went to London last year, now to New York. They made a big round with Balleton. So I think there it really became truth, what they had been promising.
Cool, thank you. Mutaz, can you give me a direct example of something where Barclays has directly impacted or helped you whilst you were participating in the program in London?
So we're a financial well-being startup. So for us, there's a lot that has to go into research, just in terms of setting up case studies, surveying people about their attitudes towards financial management and financial well-being. Barclays has a financial well-being practice internally. I could just stop there, but I'll give you more details. So being able to tap into hundreds of thousands, potentially even more pounds of research, and having that at our fingertips, and being able to go in and say to potential clients as well as service providers, we have the backing of research that, as a startup, there was no way we could have basically funded ourselves, just handed to us on a silver platter. So for us, it's between the access to that research, that insight, that know-how, and also looking to potentially partner with Barclays as a provider of our service where they might actually work towards signposting our service to some of their corporate employer clients, or potentially even partner with us through providing benefits in a value-add fashion to some of Barclays' own users. So that wouldn't have happened outside of the accelerator. So it's definitely a positive for us.
Olga, you've seen a broad spectrum of companies across multiple accelerators. Have you seen a theme in terms of the sorts of teams which have participated, or is it, what's the start and the end in terms of the types of teams
You mean
that you
specifically in
think
Berlin?
that
or?
have, no, in the
No,
teams in
general.
New York or in London which you think would benefit from participating in a program?
They're like completely different teams, right? They can be a person that has idea and they want to learn something from accelerator. It'll be a team that has already a seed investment and they actually need this door to this network that Techstars, for example, provides them with. For me personally, it's more interesting to work with teams that have a product and team that has, or idea is also a product, right? You can understand inside the accelerator, does it work? Is it really a product market fit? And this assertiveness towards mentors as well. When I'm back as a mentor, can say, I have no idea how to help you, right? So I really like these teams that have an understanding where they stand, have a team, have an understanding of their product, and they're really open to listen, but also very selective to whom they listen and whom they don't listen to.
Cool. Stephen, why do you keep coming back to doing more corporate accelerators? Final question.
Sure. We've found that the format is very effective when we are the corporate for getting a deep and broad view quickly about what's going on in a specific vertical. So, as the corporate, you pick 10 companies, but you look at hundreds of companies, and so you get a pretty in-depth view of what's happening in any particular vertical. But if I were a startup, I think we work with a lot of blue chip companies, and I can tell you that many of them really don't understand innovation. So I think if you're picking a corporate program, you have to corporate programs that succeed are programs that have a very specific vision of what they want to do, have buy-in from the senior leadership, and both of those are definitely the case with Olaf and his team here at Metro, and also fit your startup. The startup has to be at the right point in its trajectory where it can actually engage with the corporate partner in a productive and meaningful way. Otherwise, it's just not a good fit. But I think the key things to look for are the vision of the corporate and avoiding those that are purely PR stunts or purely about internal incubation or are taking unfair amounts of equity, and that's the Techstars formula is extremely friendly to entrepreneurs, and to focus on the right kinds of programs.
Thank you. Done. Okay. Cheers.
Thanks.
Two great panel discussions, I think, very nicely leading into the promised presentation on the Techstars METRO Accelerator we'll have here. I mean, the first one talking about innovation in hospitality and food tech, and the second one kind of talking about why corporate accelerators might be a way to go about it. So I'm very happy to start introducing to you the world's first hospitality and food tech accelerator. It's a program that's unique in the setup, and so we're very happy to have you here at the launch event, and of course also all the way through the program. Let me talk to you a little bit more about why we think it's good for Metro to do it, and then also why we think that startups will profit from Metro doing it this way. As you know, Metro is a large wholesaler. It's very big. Presence in 30 countries, more than 2,000 locations, 250,000 employees. I could go on with metrics like that, but you get the idea. It's a very, very big company and potentially a very, very big partner if you're a startup, right? I mean, Taz spoke about getting access to resources that otherwise it's very hard to get access to as a startup. That can be a place. And Metro has been around for a very long time, serving clients in the food and hospitality sector, and so has built a lot of experience and also credibility there. Now, I have a little confession to make that maybe 10, 12 years ago, I was working towards a PhD in physics, and for a very short period there, I was entertaining the thought of maybe opening a restaurant. Now, people who know me better will immediately tell you that is a terrible idea, but I nonetheless entertained that for some time. And I got saved, not quite last minute, but I got saved by a book. I read Anthony Bourdain's book, Kitchen Confidential. And in that book, in a very entertaining way, Anthony tells you essentially this, which means running a restaurant or a hospitality business is complex and complicated. It's not just about getting the service right and not overcooking the food, but you have many, many balls that you need to keep in the air. And so if you're in that business, you can probably, A, you're already trained anyway, B, you can probably use help. So I finished my degree and then went on and do other things, but it's great to be back a little bit in that space and do something about it. Now, this is kind of why Metro is doing it. Let me also tell you why we think this is great for the startups who will join us in the program. So Metro has a lot of knowledge which we will share, right? We'll have executives from anywhere in Metro come in and work with the startups and mentor them. We have obviously great clients whom we can pull in. People who run restaurants, who run hotels, who run catering companies, all across this footprint that you see up there are available to work with our startups. We have more than 2 million active customers in that field. So just imagine as a startup being able to distribute your product to more than 2 million customers already, using a sales force of more than 5,000 people who has regular conversations with them. I think that's obviously something that as a startup is completely impossible to build, at least at any reasonable time frame. And we obviously will make all those available to the startups in the program through an expedited business development process. As someone who's founded or co-founded a company that was trying to sell to small restaurants and catering companies, and then eventually did a deal with Metro, I can tell you that is something to be very excited about if you're a startup. We realize it's great, or we think it's great, but we also realize it's a somewhat difficult endeavor, right? There were already some critical questions in the panels on how do you pull this off and not make mistakes all over again. And that's part of the reason why we partner with two incredible institutions. One is Techstars, whom you've already seen, leading accelerator in the world. Rob will talk about this a little bit more in a few minutes. And the other one is RGA. You've already seen Stephen on stage here. RGA is a global digital marketing and brand agency with an extremely impressive client list. So, good people to have on board, a very global footprint. And what's great about them contributing to the program is that they will make their world-class services available to the startups that are in the program. So imagine being a young startup and getting all the knowledge and guidance from RGA, not only on products and services, but also how to build your brand, how to take all of that forward. RGA has also agreed to make introductions and open up their global Fortune 500 client list. So I think that's by no means a small feat for startups to get introduced at the right level to the right people. And we already spoke about this in the last panel. RGA has experience in doing that, so they will also help us to prevent mistakes that otherwise we might make. However, of course, when it comes to experience in helping startups grow from an idea or a very early stage to billion-dollar companies, then probably no institution here has more experience than Techstars, which Rob is going to introduce to you a little bit more right now. There you go.
So I had a bunch of stuff I was going to say about Techstars, but Mutaz pretty much stole all of it on the panel for the most part. I'll go really quick though. So Techstars is a mentor-driven accelerator. What do we mean by that? A mentor-driven accelerator, we take 2 to 3 years of entrepreneurial experience and try to jam-pack it into 13 weeks. Here are a few stats about Techstars. Over 500 companies, 1.2 billion raised, 18 different locations, 2.8 billion market value. But instead of just reading all of the numbers off, what I highly encourage anybody to do, Techstars is a really transparent culture. So you can go on their website and see every single startup across every single program, if they're still active, how much money they've raised, and that's probably the best way to get a good view. As an entrepreneur myself, the stat that jumps out is this 77% still active. Entrepreneurs love to say that 9 out of 10 companies fail, which I actually think is still a little bit light. 77% still active really kind of shows the Techstars methodology and the ecosystem that they've built. 7 out of 10 Techstars companies receive funding, and we've recently launched our equity-backed guarantee. If you're a startup and you come through Techstars Metro and you feel you didn't get the value from it that you thought you would, you can just tell us how much value you feel like you got. So the real value of Techstars is in the network. Over 3,000 entrepreneurs, investors, advisors, mentors, the 100 across the first 4 weeks. That's the real value. We also give access to tools, resources, and one thing I wanted to mention is that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Techstars has taken companies who have been pre-revenue, pre-product, all the way to companies that have been 20 million a year in revenue, and everything in between. Those companies need different things, and the Techstars curriculum is built in a way that we can wrap our mentorship around that. We can wrap our assets around the needs of each individual company. So here's the mechanics of the program. Here in Berlin, in October, 10 companies up to 120,000 euros for 13 weeks. We've broken it down into 3 sections, like all Techstars programs. I'm going to do this a lot faster because Mutaz already walked through it. The first third, Mentor Madness, we're going to bombard you with mentors from Techstars, the local Berlin ecosystem, entrepreneurs, investors, Metro, RGA, anybody that we feel can help your company in particular. These are the mentors we're going to involve you with. The second third is product market fit. You're going to talk to your customers, customer development, lean startup, basically figuring out, tweaking the business model so that we can truly accelerate and do more faster. The final third is preparation for demo day. The 13-week program culminates in January, where we're going to do a huge event here in Berlin, network from each of the 3 organizations, local Berlin network, and you're really going to have an opportunity to showcase your startup to the world. So we've talked a lot tonight about hospitality and food tech. I want to talk really quickly about what we mean by that. When we say hospitality and food tech, we're not talking about products that can be used in restaurants. I mean, that could be one of them, I guess, but essentially what we're talking about is anything that adds value to the way that a hotel or a restaurant operates. Anything along the value chain. It could be a financial technology POS system for a restaurant, B2B SaaS solution for a hotel, wearable tech, hardware. This is a not exhaustive list. Basically, if you can provide Metro value when they provide it to their customers and Metro can provide you value, then it could very well be a good fit. If there are any startups here that have a question, am I a hospitality and food tech startup? Come find me after and we're going to talk. Or on the final slide, I have my office hours listed and we'll schedule some time. So the timeline, today applications are open. Anybody can submit their application starting today. Applications will close August 3rd. We'll bring the finalists here to Berlin to do face-to-face interviews, in which case we'll select the 10 that come in October and demo days in January. With that, I would like to, that was pretty fast, right? With that, I'll invite Alexander back up, as well as John from RGA, and we'll field a few questions before we go off and eat and drink and the rest of the evening. Or if nobody has questions, we can just do the eat and drink thing now. No? Oh, here we go.
Are the 120,000 for one startup, or are they for all of the 10s?
Each startup.
Okay,
Each startup.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, hi. Can I just want to ask a question? If there's a company, for instance, that has gone through an accelerator, another accelerator, would you recommend that they, like if they wanted to break into Europe, that they should apply?
So we've had that happen at Techstars a couple of times. So the Techstars City program usually doesn't have a specific vertical. It's just very broad. And then we obviously have a vertical for this one. There's been multiple scenarios in which somebody who's gone through a Techstars City program, and that, was it for yours? Did they do it for yours?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had 2 or 3 companies who had been in previous accelerator programs join our programs. The combination of what Metro brings to the table, RGA and Techstars, is pretty compelling for any company.
Hi, Vincent Koch from To Wonder.
I'm meeting with you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. Having worked at a corporate accelerator before, I've seen the major problem of corporate accelerators is not the support of the executive board or the executive layer of the company, but actually the body of the company. So lacking the support of the marketing people or the sales people, because they don't really know or what's happening somewhere in Berlin, or they don't really have like a connection to that. How does Metro and RJ make sure that they have the full support of the company and not of some people at the top of the company?
Yeah, I think we're well aware of that, and I mean, we're actually already now, and that's 10 months from demo day or something, engaging all those functions you mentioned and a few more at Metro. And I told you Metro is big, so there could be potentially 250,000 employees, get into the way, or 250,000 colleagues. But I actually haven't met anybody who wasn't enthusiastic about this and said, like, let's see how we can do this. It's also clear that it's going to be some work, so it's not a done deal. But I have no reason to believe that we won't be able to pull it off.
And at RGA, we've run our own corporate program, so we're very familiar with what you're talking about. Even as a communications company, we sometimes have a hard time communicating with ourselves. But when you take that experience that we've had, add it to the program, plus when you have a program that's led from the top, from Olaf down through his corporate communications team, who has done an amazing job so far communicating internally and externally, getting all of you here to this excellent event tonight. Their energy has made a huge difference in how the program has ramped up to this point, and will continue to do so throughout the program.
Hi, my name is Justus from Berlin Valley News. I'm just wondering, what made you choose Berlin to bring these startups here? Not another German city or European city. Why Berlin?
And not Düsseldorf, for instance?
Yeah.
No, I think there was a discussion at some point, but it was relatively brief. I mean, we're all aware that Berlin is probably the place in Europe at the moment for startups, and so we want to be part of that. And speaking for me personally, I've been living here for 8 years now or something, and I didn't want to move.
Cheap rent.
Cheaper rent, cheaper drinks.
Yeah.
Is it on? It's not. Yeah.
Well, if there's nothing
hi.
else.
Yeah, I've got one more over here. Hi, Felicitas Venture Village. How much equity do you guys take?
Between 6 and 10%. Yeah, it's a combination of common stock equity and a convertible note. We can talk about the details of the financing if you want at some other point. I mean, it's all on the Techstars website too.
Yeah, just wondering because it wasn't mentioned. Thank you.
Hi, just one more. Hi, I'm Michael from GastroSmart. Now, as we all know, Metro is actually a big, large conglomerate that does not only include the food business. And I'd actually be really interested to know why, and this question is actually also to you from Techstars, why you're now focusing on the HoReCa business, on the food business in this accelerator program rather than, electronics, like in MediaMarkt and many other sectors you include in Metro.
Well, I tried to explain this a little bit in the beginning. It's to a certain degree, it's where Metro comes from, right? I mean, at first, the founding stone of Metro was the cash and carry markets, and they, catered to a large degree to restaurants and hotel and catering companies and so on. And then we feel that sector in particular, as opposed to maybe consumer electronics or something, hasn't been hit by digital innovation as hard as the others. And so there is a tremendous opportunity there. I mean, also being the first ones to do it, I think there's a great way to pave a way for lots of companies to do great.
And from the beginning, Metro has stated that they want the program to help make their customers' businesses more successful. And this is where the core of their customer businesses come from, is from this sector.
And I mean, for Techstars, it's the same thing. I mean, if you're going to innovate on this space, on the hospitality and food tech space, Metro is far and away the best partner to have in the world. Yeah. Anybody else? No? Okay, well, with that...
Hang on 1 second. I mean, yeah, with that, sorry to steal that from you, but obviously, very glad you're all here. We'll invite you over to the networking area, have some drinks and food, but I don't want you to run away without, please join me in a large round of applause for Petra Schäfer and her team from Corporate Communications, who has set up the entire event, made sure everything went smoothly, made also sure we'll have something nice to eat and drink just now. So we can get a round of applause for Petra and her team. I'd be grateful. Thanks a lot. All right. See you over there. Thanks.